Something big just happened, and now the whole world is talking. A life sentence was given, and King Charles's reaction was caught on camera. The way he looked, the way he moved, people can't stop watching. Some say he was shocked, others think he knew this was coming. But one thing is clear. This moment has taken over the internet. Everyone is trying to understand what his reaction really means. Was he upset? Was he expecting this? Or is there something more behind that look? Background of the case. This case has grabbed the world's attention like no other. A powerful figure, once considered untouchable, has been sentenced to life in prison. But who is this person? And what crime did they commit that led to such a harsh punishment? The person in question is no ordinary criminal. They were once highly respected, a well-known name in elite circles. However, shocking allegations turned their reputation upside down. The trial was long and dramatic, filled with shocking testimonies, undeniable evidence, and intense courtroom moments. People watched as the case unfolded, revealing secrets that had been buried for years. The charges were serious. The convicted individual was accused of committing crimes that shook the public to its core. Investigators spent months collecting evidence, and when it was finally presented in court, there was no escaping the truth. The evidence included phone records, eyewitness statements, and even video footage that left no doubt about their guilt. The judge had no choice but to hand down the harshest punishment: life in prison. The media played a huge role in this case. News channels covered every single detail, analyzing every move made in court. Social media exploded with discussions, theories, and debates. Some people believed justice was served, while others thought the punishment was too severe. Protests broke out, and people gathered outside the courtroom, waiting for the final verdict. The moment the judge announced the life sentence, the internet went wild. But nothing prepared people for what happened next: King Charles's reaction. King Charles's connection to the case. The biggest question on everyone's mind is, why is King Charles reacting to this? What does this case have to do with him? Why does his response matter so much? Well, the answer lies in the deep and complex ties between the royal family and the convicted individual. There are rumors that the person sentenced to life had close connections to the British monarchy. Some reports even suggest that they had attended private royal events and had personal meetings with key members of the royal family. King Charles has always been careful about his public image. He knows that every word, every expression, and every reaction is watched closely by the public. So, when news broke about this life sentence, people naturally turned their eyes toward him. Would he ignore it? Would he comment? Would he defend or distance himself? The world waited for his response, and when it finally came, it took everyone by surprise. The exact reaction of King Charles. The moment King Charles heard about the life sentence, he was in the middle of an important royal event. Cameras were rolling, reporters were present, and all eyes were on him. As the news reached him, people noticed a sudden shift in his expression. His usual calm and composed demeanor changed for a brief moment. He looked tense, almost as if he had been caught off guard. Video clips of his reactions started circulating online within minutes. Some showed him looking down, avoiding eye contact with reporters. Others captured a brief moment of unease as he adjusted his posture. Experts began analyzing his body language, with some claiming that he looked visibly shaken, while others believed he was simply trying to remain neutral. But it wasn't just his facial expression that got people talking. Shortly after the news broke, an official statement was released by Buckingham Palace. The statement was short, carefully worded, and left room for interpretation. It neither condemned nor defended the convicted person, but instead focused on distancing the royal family from the controversy. However, some royal insiders claim that behind closed doors, there was a lot more going on. Sources suggest that King Charles had private discussions with his advisors about how to handle the situation. Some believe he was deeply troubled by the news, while others think he was frustrated that the royal family's name was once again being dragged into a major scandal. Meanwhile, other members of the royal family also had to deal with the situation. Prince William, known for his measured responses, chose to remain silent. Princess Kate, who rarely speaks on legal matters, was seen avoiding reporters. And then there was Prince Harry, though no official statement came from him. Some believe his past comments about royal scandals might suggest how he feels about the case. social media, and public response. As soon as King Charles's reaction went public, the internet exploded. Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram were flooded with posts about his expression, his body language, and the statement from Buckingham Palace. People had strong opinions, and they weren't afraid to share them. Some users were quick to call him out. They believed his reaction showed that he was more affected by the case than he wanted to admit. Guilt written all over his face, one Twitter user wrote. Others defended him, saying he was just caught off guard and that people were reading too much into it. He's the king, not a reality TV star. Leave him alone, another user commented. Memes also took over the internet. Some showed edited clips of King Charles looking shocked with dramatic music in the background. Others compared his reaction to famous movie scenes. The hashtag #King Charles reaction started trending worldwide, with thousands of tweets pouring in every second. Even celebrities and politicians jumped into the conversation. Some supported King Charles, saying that it was unfair to put him under scrutiny for something he had no control over. Others, however, used this moment to question the royal family's past connections. Political and legal implications. King Charles' reaction may seem like just another viral moment, but it has bigger consequences. When a monarch reacts to a high-profile case, it can influence public opinion. Some people now wonder if this case will change how the royal family is viewed. Could this scandal affect King Charles's popularity? Will it lead to new discussions about the monarchy's role in modern society? Legally, the case itself is closed, but the debates surrounding it are far from over. If more information comes out about the convicted individual's past connections to the royal family, it could lead to new investigations, new headlines, and even more controversy. For now, King Charles has tried to move forward, but the internet doesn't forget. His reaction is still being discussed, analyzed, and shared worldwide. Whether he likes it or not, this moment has become part of history. So, what do you think? Was King Charles truly shocked by the life sentence?
And I have been so deeply moved and humbled by their truly remarkable courage and by their selfless capacity for forgiveness, despite all that they have suffered.
King Charles can finally share what happened is sure to make jaws drop. For decades, rumors and whispers surrounded the real story behind Charles and Diana's marriage, leaving fans with burning questions. Now, after years of regret and hidden truth, Charles is ready to spill the details that could change everything we thought we knew. From unexpected revelations to shocking confessions, nothing remains off limits in this tell-all.
And I also wanted to say how particularly moved and enormously comforted my children and I were, and indeed still are, by the public response to Diana's death.
Are you ready to hear the scandal that could rewrite entire royal history? Early spotlight on King Charles. From the moment he was born on November 14, 1948, King Charles lived in the public eye like few others. Being the first child of Queen Elizabeth II placed him in line for the British throne at just a few years old. As soon as his mother succeeded to the throne in 1952, Charles's every move became news. Journalists and photographers followed him constantly, capturing everything from his first steps to his school outings. This early attention brought both excitement and hardship. On one hand, Charles enjoyed privileges such as living in grand palaces and traveling around the world with his parents. On the other hand, the weight of future responsibility cast a long shadow. He could not simply play outside without a chaperone, or make casual friends without those friendships ending up in the papers. Knowing that he would eventually become king brought an expectation of perfect behavior and never-ending etiquette lessons. As a child, Charles took part in public events that most people never experience. He had to attend formal ceremonies, greet dignitaries, and smile for countless photographs. His parents were often busy with their own duties, so he sometimes felt distant from them. This early exposure to royal life taught him that leadership is more than just ribbon cutting and waving. It involves representing an entire nation and keeping up an image of respect and tradition. Yet Charles remained a curious young boy, eager to learn. He loved the outdoors, playing sports and exploring nature whenever possible. Despite all the ceremony around him, he tried to embrace any normal childhood moment he could find. This dual existence, being both a young heir and a child wanting freedom, shaped his perspective on duty and personal happiness. Over the years, the world watched him grow, picking apart every detail of his upbringing, from his choice of school to his friendships. While the spotlight was harsh, it also formed him into the resolute individual he would become. He learned to handle media pressure, stand by his values, and balance tradition with personal growth. Those early years in the public eye laid the groundwork for his eventual role as Britain's monarch. Challenging childhood. Although King Charles was born into privilege, his childhood was far from easy. In public, he seemed to have it all: a royal title, a future throne, and enrollment in prestigious schools. But behind the castle walls, he faced emotional hurdles that shaped who he is today. He often spoke of feeling somewhat isolated, since his parents, Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, had demanding schedules and many official duties. As a result, they were often away, leaving young Charles under the care of nannies and tutors. He once admitted that his parents could be both physically and emotionally distant. Growing up under such circumstances, he struggled to find genuine warmth and affection. Many times his reserved nature was misunderstood as aloofness, but it stemmed from a lack of open, playful interaction within his family. Like any sensitive child, he longed for approval and closeness. Additionally, constant media attention made it hard for him to form normal friendships. Classmates sometimes teased him, either because of his royal status or his gentle nature. While many assumed being a prince meant an easy life, it actually invited extra scrutiny. Every quirk or emotion he showed sparked feedback from both peers and the wider public. This pressure taught him to shield his feelings, shaping the more guarded side of his personality that people would later observe. However, these hardships also contributed to his ability to empathize with others, since he knew how it felt to be lonely and misunderstood. Charles developed a softer side. In time, he became known for his desire to protect the environment and uplift charitable causes. There is a belief that his early emotional battles gave him a strong sense of compassion for the struggles of everyday people. Overcoming a challenging childhood was no small feat. Charles had to navigate formal expectations, media glare, and his own yearning for unconditional love. These factors fueled both his insecurities and his determination to do well by his future subjects. In many ways, his youthful trials served as stepping stones toward a more empathetic approach to leadership, highlighting how even a prince can grow through adversity. Gordonstoun School experience. Gordonstoun School became a defining chapter of King Charles's youth. Founded by German educator Kurt Hahn, the school was known for its strict discipline, outdoor challenges, and emphasis on self-reliance. Prince Philip, Charles's father, believed that Gordonstoun would make his son tougher, more independent, and ready for the demands of royal life. Though the school was among the most respected in the United Kingdom, it was also notorious for its rigorous routines. For young Charles, the transition was tough. He was a sensitive boy, more inclined toward quiet reflection than braving cold mornings and adventure drills. At Gordonstoun, students were expected to wake up early to take cold showers, keep their dormitories spotless, and participate in various sports. The school highlighted character growth through hardship, a principle that clashed with Charles's gentle manner. He found the days exhausting and sometimes felt overwhelmed by the physical demands and the teasing he faced from classmates. Still, he would later admit that his time at Gordonstoun shaped his resilience and helped him discover inner strengths. He learned how to handle criticism, adapt to unfamiliar settings, and rely on himself in challenging situations. In a 1975 interview, he reflected that the school taught him much about his own abilities, hinting that the difficulties sparked personal growth. He also said that his father's insistence on sending him there, though harsh at times, forced him to confront the real world in ways a pampered prince rarely would. Beyond discipline, Gordonstoun offered Charles opportunities in leadership. The school believed in giving senior students responsibility to oversee younger ones, which helped Charles practice guiding and supporting peers. He also found moments to appreciate nature, exploring the rugged landscape surrounding the campus. That closeness with nature might have nurtured his lifelong advocacy for environmental causes. Despite the strictness, he later expressed gratitude for his Gordonstoun experience. While he often joked that his father's choice of school was a harsh move for someone so sensitive, he ultimately acknowledged its benefits. By enduring trials of physical endurance, structure, and teamwork, Charles discovered personal qualities that would serve him well as he prepared for the responsibilities of a future king. University education king. Charles's choice to attend university was a defining moment that broke royal tradition and sparked debate within the British royal family. Typically, heirs to the throne were expected to enter military service straight after their formal schooling. However, Charles had other plans. After completing his A-levels at Gordonstoun, he announced his intent to pursue a degree at the University of Cambridge. Many in the royal circle were uneasy about this decision, fearing it might reflect poorly on him as a future monarch. Critics claimed it showed a lack of discipline and a desire to dodge the rigors of military life. Yet Charles stood firm, determined to prove that scholarship and service could go hand in hand. Despite the stir it caused, his time at Cambridge became an invaluable experience. He studied anthropology, archaeology, and history, eventually earning a second-class lower Bachelor of Arts, an achievement that made him the first British heir apparent to receive a university degree. During his studies, the media kept a close watch on his every move. Reports of Charles strolling through campus with classmates or attending social events always made headlines, reflecting a public keenly curious about how he would balance academic pursuits with his royal obligations. For Charles, this period was about more than attending lectures and writing essays. It allowed him a taste of relative independence, a chance to mingle with fellow students and immerse himself in intellectual debate. He engaged in discussions ranging from historical events to global challenges, broadening his cultural awareness. This exposure seemed to strengthen his worldview and shape his future philanthropic interests. In particular, experiencing life beyond palace walls helped him understand ordinary people's struggles, an understanding that would later influence his passion for charitable causes. Still, not everyone was so accepting of his academic adventure. Some family members felt that time spent away from official duties hindered his readiness for the crown. Yet, Charles's resolve only grew stronger in the face of doubt. Even as tension brewed within the royal household, he persisted, focusing on exams and forming friendships that would last for years. Military career. After earning his university degree, King Charles turned his attention to the military, a path many had expected him to follow from the start. Criticism had built up when he initially postponed his service, with voices suggesting he feared the harsh environment. Yet Charles was determined to prove otherwise. Early in his second year at Cambridge, he requested Royal Air Force training, surprising both the public and members of his family. This move signaled his readiness to take on physically and mentally demanding challenges. Charles began his preparatory instruction by studying a range of technical subjects, including aerodynamics, navigation, and aviation medicine. According to Air Chief Marshal Sir Richard Johns, who oversaw parts of Charles's training, the young man displayed remarkable concentration and a fierce determination to excel. While critics still questioned whether a sensitive prince could handle strict discipline, Charles's instructors saw a different side, a focused student who refused to fail. His military journey didn't end with the RAF. Charles soon embarked on a career in the Royal Navy, following in the footsteps of his father and grandfather. He took an accelerated course at Britannia Royal Naval College, quickly adjusting to life on ships, destroyers, and frigates. Over time, he served as a gunnery officer on the HMS Minerva and took on responsibilities that tested both his leadership and technical skills. His active involvement in real operations, such as monitoring a Soviet submarine, showcased his calm under pressure and willingness to adapt to life at sea. One highlight of Charles's service was his development as a pilot. He spent countless hours in the cockpit, perfecting maneuvers and formation flying. His dedication paid off when he earned the Double Diamond Trophy, marking him as one of the top pilots in his class. Eventually, Charles advanced to commanding officer of the minesweeper HMS Brownington, where he led a small crew through routine exercises and real missions involving leftover World War II ordnance. By December 1976, he concluded his active military career with the rank of commander. Though some once doubted his ability to withstand rigorous training, he left with a record that spoke volumes about his commitment and skill. In many ways, His time in uniform demonstrated that a future monarch could balance tradition with personal ambition, all while earning the respect of both royal and military circles. It was one more stepping stone on a journey that would soon lead him to a deeply complex chapter of life. Meeting Princess Diana. Meeting Princess Diana. The story of King Charles meeting Princess Diana often leads to mention of a shooting party hosted by Diana's older sister, Sarah. But according to Charles himself, their very first meeting happened in a less glamorous setting, a freshly plowed field. In that moment, Diana was a shy 16-year-old, while Charles was in his late 20s, dating Sarah. Despite the age gap and the prince's existing relationship, Diana captured Charles's attention. He was charmed by her youthful spirit and unique warmth, but with his eyes fixed on Sarah at the time, he barely acted on those feelings. Not long after, Charles joined Sarah for a ski trip, and their blossoming relationship was widely documented by the media, who celebrated them as a potential match. Behind the scenes, though, something else was happening. During a gathering at Sarah's invitation, Charles and Diana ended up talking in private. She led him on a brief tour of her home's gallery, and he found her kindness and energy irresistible, even if he couldn't publicly show it. Meanwhile, Diana was flattered by the prince's genuine interest. Yet the situation was far from simple. Sarah was still very much in the picture. In a surprising twist, Sarah herself ended up ending the relationship with Charles. She gave a frank interview to a magazine, boldly stating she was not in love with him, nor had any intention of marrying into the royal family. The public was stunned, considering how they had seemed happy together during their ski outings. Within months, Sarah married someone else, causing the media to pivot and focus on the evolving connection between Charles and Diana. With Sarah now out of the equation, Charles felt freer to pursue the younger sister who had captivated him from that first encounter. Still, there were unavoidable concerns about their 12-year age difference and Diana's limited experience with the public eye. Undeterred, they began seeing more of each other. The royal family, always conscious of appearances, kept a close watch on their dates, intrigued by the possibility that Diana might be a suitable bride for the future king. Marriage to Diana. The marriage of King Charles and Princess Diana was hailed as the event of the century, a dazzling ceremony watched by hundreds of millions worldwide. From the outside, it looked like the ultimate fairy tale. Royal pomp, horse-drawn carriages, and a stunning bride adored by onlookers everywhere she went. Yet beneath the grand displays of love and pageantry, trouble brewed. Diana, who was only 20 when she wed the future king, soon found that royal life was far more complex than she had imagined. One early warning sign came during their engagement interview. When asked if they were in love, Diana confidently said yes, but Charles replied, "Whatever in love means." His awkward response drew public concern, and privately, Diana admitted that it hurt. Troubles mounted further during their engagement when she discovered Charles had purchased a gift for his ex-girlfriend, Camilla Parker Bowles. Though Diana considered calling off the wedding, she pressed on, buoyed by her sister's support, but harboring deep fears about Charles's loyalty. Their wedding day remained a spectacle of joy, at least to the millions watching on television. Behind the scenes, however, cracks formed in the marriage almost immediately. Diana struggled with the relentless scrutiny of the press and the expectations placed on her as a royal wife. Charles, meanwhile, did little to hide his lingering attachment to Camilla, fueling Diana's worries and later her heartbreak. Over time, the emotional strain took a visible toll. Diana spoke openly about her feelings of inadequacy, and Charles, unsure how to handle her distress, seemed to drift further away. Eventually, the rumors of Charles's ongoing affair became impossible to ignore. Diana confronted Camilla directly, pleading for her to leave Charles alone. When that failed, the tension boiled over, leaving Diana feeling more isolated than ever. The media, hungry for drama, devoured every hint of conflict. The final blow arrived when intimate phone conversations between Charles and Camilla leaked to the press, exposing the true extent of their relationship. Faced with a scandal that rocked the monarchy, Charles publicly admitted the affair. A deeply wounded Diana, in turn, shared her side in televised interviews, famously remarking that, "There were 3 of us in this marriage." In 1992, they formally separated, finalizing their divorce in 1996. What began as a fairy tale had become a cautionary story of love, betrayal, and public intrusion, forever shaping how the world viewed the House of Windsor and the couple at its center: infidelity and marital troubles. The marriage of King Charles and Princess Diana was once the world's favorite fairy tale, but underlying tensions and hidden affections soon cast a shadow over their union. Early on, Diana sensed Charles's lingering fondness for his former flame, Camilla Parker Bowles. Although Diana hoped that marriage and motherhood would draw Charles closer, those dreams gradually faded as Camilla remained in the picture. Hurt and confused, Diana confronted Charles about the gift he had bought Camilla shortly before their wedding, an omen that her new life might not be a peaceful one. Taking on royal duties brought more public attention, leaving little room for private resolutions. Diana tried to hold her marriage together despite feeling increasingly overshadowed by Camilla's presence. Pleas and direct confrontations proved fruitless. Charles, meanwhile, seemed torn between his sense of duty to Diana and his emotional history with Camilla. Eventually, their marital strains spilled over into media reports, fueling endless tabloid gossip. Every time Diana appeared at a public event looking downcast or teary-eyed, the press speculated about Charles's behavior and the cracks in their relationship. The unsustainable tension came to a head when intimate phone conversations between Charles and Camilla leaked, confirming beyond doubt that the prince had continued his affair. The tapes featured candid exchanges, revealing the depth of their emotional bond. As these calls became front-page news, any hope of salvaging the royal marriage dimmed. In a bid to manage the crisis, Charles sat down for a televised interview where he finally admitted to cheating on Diana. This public confession shattered the prince's carefully managed image of respectability and left Diana feeling betrayed on a global stage. Although the divorce was still months away, the emotional damage was done. Diana's heartbreak and Charles's public mea culpa generated an unending storm of media scrutiny. Many who had idolized Charles for his dedication to royal duty now questioned his character. Some sympathized with Diana, seeing her as a young woman thrust into an unforgiving spotlight and betrayed by her husband's continued closeness to Camilla. Others blamed both sides, arguing that royal life created pressures no marriage could endure. By the time legal separation became official, the couple's relationship had devolved into a series of painful headlines and regretful revelations. What started as a storybook wedding in front of nearly 1 billion onlookers turned into a cautionary tale of unresolved past relationships, public obsession, and the heavy toll of infidelity on even the most glamorous unions. Diana's struggles and legacy. When Diana entered the royal family, many saw her as the embodiment of a real-life Cinderella. A shy young nursery school assistant swept up in a dazzling romance with the future king. Yet almost from the start, she struggled beneath the intense spotlight and the rigid protocols of royal life. Her natural warmth often clashed with the formal reserve expected of a princess, and every misstep drew tabloid headlines. Over time, these pressures took a serious emotional toll, leaving her feeling isolated and unsure of whom to trust. Beyond her marital woes, Diana battled personal insecurities. She spoke candidly about her struggle with bulimia, which she traced directly to the emotional pain and self-doubt she experienced in her relationship with Charles. Whenever she felt anxious about an upcoming event or a perceived rejection, the pressure became unbearable. Her willingness to open up about bulimia shattered royal norms, exposing a frank vulnerability that endeared her to millions who recognized their own battles in her story. Despite these struggles, Diana found her own voice and sense of purpose through humanitarian work. Early on, she displayed a gift for connecting with people from all walks of life. Children facing critical illness, victims of poverty, and those living with HIV/AIDS all found a compassionate ally in Diana, who wasn't afraid to kneel down, embrace them, and show a human touch that broke centuries of royal formality. This empathy became a hallmark of her public persona, earning her the nickname, the People's Princess. Even as her marriage unraveled, Diana's global reputation soared, buoyed by her devotion to charitable causes. She visited hospitals, comforted the sick, and championed controversial topics like landmine clearance. Though her personal life remained fraught with heartbreak, Diana's work on behalf of the marginalized offered a sense of meaning. In telling the world about her own pain, She helped to break stigmas surrounding mental health while using her platform to shine a spotlight on overlooked communities. By the time she and Charles divorced, Diana's place in history had already been secured. Her tragic death in 1997 only cemented her status as a beloved icon whose struggles made her relatable and whose compassion inspired countless others. Today, her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, carry her legacy forward with their own charitable projects and public engagements. Through them and the countless lives she touched, Diana's spirit endures, reminding the world of the power in empathy, vulnerability, and the courage to speak one's truth.
That Diana, Princess of Wales, who was injured in that accident you've just seen pictured of, has actually died.
The Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon.
The story of King Charles and Princess Diana was once seen as a fairy tale romance, but behind palace doors, it was a whirlwind of heartbreak and betrayal. For years, hidden secrets and scandals shaped their rocky marriage, leaving Diana struggling to find love and support.
Charles has great delivery. I mean, he's practically like a Shakespearean actor.
What really happened between them? This shocking betrayal changed the royal family forever, and it's finally coming to light. Emotional distance. Emotional distance isn't just a relationship challenge. It's a silent betrayal that can cut deeper than words. In the case of King Charles and Princess Diana, their royal marriage was the perfect picture on the outside. But behind the palace walls, emotional distance was tearing them apart. Diana and Charles entered their marriage with high hopes and public adoration, yet they quickly found themselves on separate emotional wavelengths. Diana's vibrant personality and emotional openness clashed with Charles's reserved and duty-driven demeanor. While Diana longed for love, support, and genuine connection, Charles seemed to retreat into his own world, one that included Camilla Parker Bowles. The emotional distance between the couple grew, as Diana felt increasingly isolated. Despite her efforts to connect with Charles, his affection often appeared elsewhere. The betrayal wasn't just about infidelity, it was about the emotional neglect Diana endured while she fought to keep their marriage alive. Charles's inability, or unwillingness to meet her emotional needs, became a wound that never healed. For Diana, this distance wasn't just heartbreaking, it was soul-crushing. Her struggles with bulimia and feelings of worthlessness were amplified by the coldness of her relationship. She later admitted to seeking connection elsewhere, a response to the loneliness she felt within her marriage. What makes this story resonate even today is how relatable it is. Emotional distance isn't confined to royal relationships. Many people have experienced the pain of being in a partnership where they feel unseen, unheard, and unimportant. In Diana's case, her courage to speak out and share her truth shone a light on the emotional battles many people face behind closed doors. Charles's secret betrayal wasn't just his affair. It was the choice to emotionally distance himself from the woman who had once dreamed of building a life with him. The story of Charles and Diana isn't just a royal scandal. It's a reminder that emotional connection is the foundation of any relationship. When that connection is lost, the cracks are impossible to ignore. Camilla Parker Bowles. Affair. Behind the grandeur of the royal family, there's a story that shook the world. The affair between King Charles and Camilla Parker Bowles, a betrayal that left Princess Diana heartbroken. Their love triangle wasn't just a royal scandal, it was a devastating chapter in a marriage that was already on shaky ground. From the start, Diana sensed that Camilla was more than just an old friend of Charles. Despite their lavish wedding and the world's attention, Diana often felt like the third wheel in her own marriage. The emotional distance between her and Charles grew, fueled by his unwavering connection to Camilla. The secret affair wasn't just whispers in palace hallways, it was an open secret in royal circles. Diana eventually confronted Camilla at a party, bravely saying, "I know what's going on between you and Charles." Camilla's response? A dismissive retort that only deepened Diana's anguish. The betrayal wasn't just physical, it was the emotional bond between Charles and Camilla that left Diana feeling isolated and unloved. Charles's affair with Camilla wasn't just a blow to Diana, it was a seismic event for the monarchy. The revelation of their relationship, combined with Diana's candid interviews, shattered the fairy tale image of the royal couple. Diana's now famous words, "There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded," became a defining moment in their story. What made the betrayal even harder to digest was the perception that Charles had never truly let go of Camilla. For Diana, this wasn't just about losing her husband's love, it was about never truly having it in the first place. The Camilla affair remains a controversial chapter in royal history, but it also serves as a stark reminder of the cost of emotional neglect and betrayal. Diana's pain and bravery in the face of this betrayal left a lasting legacy, one that continues to captivate the world. Diana's confrontation. The royal marriage that once seemed like a fairy tale turned into one of the most heartbreaking and scandalous sagas in history. Princess Diana, known for her grace and charm, was blindsided by the betrayal of her husband, Prince Charles. But what happened when Diana finally confronted the woman at the center of it all? Camilla Parker Bowles? The dramatic moment is something the world never forgot. In the late 1980s, Diana's suspicions about Charles and Camilla's ongoing affair reached a boiling point. The emotional distance between Diana and Charles had grown too wide to ignore, and the rumors about their relationship were swirling in the media. But what could Diana do? The pain of knowing her husband was in love with someone else became unbearable, and Diana decided to take matters into her own hands. The infamous confrontation took place during a birthday party for Camilla's sister, Annabelle Elliott, and it was nothing short of explosive. Diana, her heart heavy with anger and sorrow, looked directly at Camilla and said, "I know what's going on between you and Charles." The tension in the room was palpable, and Diana's voice echoed with the rawness of her pain. Camilla's response was cold, dismissive, and utterly callous. She said, "You've got everything you ever wanted. A handsome husband, 2 beautiful children. What more could you want?" Diana's simple yet devastating reply left everyone stunned. "I want my husband." The conversation laid bare the emotional turmoil that had been eating away at Diana. The betrayal wasn't just about the affair, it was about her unfulfilled yearning for a connection with Charles. But that connection had long been lost. Diana's confrontation with Camilla revealed just how far Charles's emotional neglect had gone. It also revealed how powerless Diana felt in her own marriage, even as the world watched her every move. Her bravery in confronting the woman who had stolen her husband's heart only made the betrayal more poignant. This moment of truth would go on to shape Diana's legacy, forever remembered as a symbol of strength, courage, and heartbreak. Public confessions. The royal family's dirty laundry was never meant to be aired in public. But when Prince Charles and Princess Diana's troubled marriage started unraveling, the world was forced to watch every heart-wrenching detail unfold. The most shocking part? Both Charles and Diana made public confessions that revealed just how deep the betrayal ran. In 1994, Prince Charles shocked the world by admitting in an interview with Jonathan Dimbleby that he had indeed been unfaithful to Diana. In his own words, he admitted the affair with Camilla Parker Bowles, acknowledging that his marriage to Diana had irretrievably broken down. This was an unprecedented moment of honesty, especially from a royal figure, and it sent waves of shock through the public. For years, the rumors had swirled, but hearing Charles admit his betrayal publicly left no room for doubt. But the shock didn't end there. A year later, Princess Diana took to the BBC's Panorama interview to reveal her side of the story. In a candid and emotional confession, Diana spoke openly about her unhappiness within the royal family, her struggles with bulimia, and the emotional toll the marriage had taken on her. She even confessed to her own infidelity, admitting she had sought comfort outside her marriage after years of emotional neglect. One of the most memorable moments in her interview was her comment about the 3 of us in the marriage, referring to Camilla's ongoing relationship with Charles. Her words echoed the pain she had felt for years, having been pushed to the sidelines of her own marriage, while Camilla was always at the center of her husband's heart. These public confessions were a rare and shocking glimpse into the deeply troubled relationship between Charles and Diana. They painted a picture of 2 people trapped in a loveless marriage, each desperately seeking solace elsewhere. The revelations not only shattered the illusion of royal perfection, but also revealed just how far emotional neglect and betrayal can go, even within the walls of Buckingham Palace. Diana's struggles for years. Princess Diana was the picture of grace, beauty, and charm, always smiling in front of the cameras, a true people's princess. But behind that captivating smile, Diana was silently battling a storm of emotional struggles. The betrayal by Prince Charles and the constant heartbreak of his affair with Camilla Parker Bowles became an unspoken burden that weighed heavily on her. Diana's life within the royal family was far from the fairy tale many believed it to be. She found herself in a loveless marriage where her husband, Prince Charles, seemed emotionally distant. As the public continued to adore them as a perfect couple, Diana was left grappling with feelings of loneliness, inadequacy, and pain. Her constant battle with emotional neglect pushed her into a deep spiral, and it wasn't long before her struggles with bulimia and self-harm became part of her personal reality. But the most agonizing part? Prince Charles's affair with Camilla. Diana had always suspected something was wrong, and her worst fears were confirmed when the affair became public knowledge. While the world admired Diana for her grace, few could understand the profound hurt she felt in her personal life. She was fighting not only for her marriage, but for her own self-worth. Diana even admitted in interviews that her relationship with Charles was a bit crowded, a cryptic but clear reference to Camilla's constant presence in their lives. Diana's confession of her struggles was a turning point in her life. In her explosive interview with the BBC in 1995, she didn't hold back. Diana shared the truth about her pain, her fight with bulimia, and even her emotional breakdowns. Her courage to speak out, to expose the truth, was a pivotal moment in her life. But despite everything, Diana always longed for one thing: love and affection from her husband, something Charles never fully gave her. Diana's heartbreaking story is one of silent strength, the battle for love, and the pain of betrayal. Her struggles remain a poignant reminder of the human side of royalty and the cost of emotional neglect. Media scrutiny. Princess Diana's life was constantly under the watchful eye of the media, but the scrutiny she faced went beyond mere headlines. It was relentless, invasive, and at times, downright cruel. As her marriage with Prince Charles unraveled, the media played a huge role in exposing the secrets that the royal family tried so hard to keep hidden. But what many didn't realize was that the public's obsession with their troubled marriage only made things worse for Diana, especially when Charles's secret betrayal was finally laid bare. For years, Diana had been painted as the innocent, wronged party in her marriage to Charles. But the truth of her suffering went far deeper than the media could ever understand. As the press began to catch wind of Charles's affair with Camilla Parker Bowles, the tabloids and gossip columns were quick to sensationalize every detail. The media didn't just report the facts. They took pleasure in adding their own twists, often portraying Diana as a broken woman. Every move she made was scrutinized, every tear she shed dissected. But it wasn't just Diana who was affected. The public's fascination with her pain spilled over into the royal family, and suddenly, Charles's betrayal was a matter of public interest. The media did not hold back in exposing the affair and the emotional turmoil that came with it. They painted Charles as a man who had failed his wife and his country, and painted Diana as the victim, a woman deserving of sympathy and support. While the public followed every twist and turn of the royal drama, the media failed to recognize the emotional toll this constant scrutiny had on Diana. She was not just a princess or a symbol of hope for the British people. She was a human being, struggling in ways that no headline could fully capture. The media's relentless coverage of Diana's marriage and Charles's secret betrayal finally forced the truth into the open, but it also led to an invasion of her privacy that would haunt her for the rest of her life. In the end, while the public may have been captivated by the royal drama, Diana's personal pain was far more complex than the tabloids could ever portray. Queen Elizabeth's intervention. The royal family has always prided itself on maintaining a strong, united front. But the cracks in Prince Charles and Princess Diana's marriage were becoming impossible to ignore. While the world watched their relationship fall apart behind the scenes, Queen Elizabeth II was quietly stepping in to restore order and bring an end to the chaos. Her intervention, though discreet, would prove to be a game-changer in the scandal that rocked the monarchy. For years, Queen Elizabeth had remained relatively silent about her son's marriage woes. However, as public interest in the royal drama grew, and Charles's affair with Camilla Parker Bowles was exposed for the world to see, the Queen could no longer stay on the sidelines. Despite her usual preference for privacy, Queen Elizabeth's role in the royal family meant she had to act, especially when it came to preserving the dignity and image of the monarchy. In 1995, the situation reached a boiling point. Charles had publicly admitted to his infidelity during an explosive interview, and the marriage was beyond saving. That's when the Queen decided to take a bold step. According to reports, she wrote a personal letter to Diana.
And he, Lord Mountbatten was probably the closest person to him, and Diana said to him, "You look so sad,"
urging her to grant an early divorce from Charles. This letter was not just an official royal request. It was a motherly plea for Diana to help bring closure to the marriage. Queen Elizabeth's intervention was carefully worded, emphasizing that it was in the best interest of the country and the royal family. She even signed the letter with "Love from Mama," a gesture that showed her genuine concern for Diana's well-being. While it was clear the Queen wanted to protect the family's image, the letter also showed her emotional understanding of the situation. By stepping in, Queen Elizabeth sought to end the public spectacle and bring peace to the fractured royal family.
To marry into the royal family and to become a future queen.
Her intervention helped pave the way for the eventual divorce between Charles and Diana in 1996. However, the betrayal Charles had inflicted on Diana would never be forgotten, and the royal family's efforts to restore their reputation were ultimately overshadowed by the lasting emotional damage caused by the affair. Divorce and aftermath. The divorce between Prince Charles and Princess Diana was not just the end of a marriage, it was the dramatic conclusion to years of tension, public humiliation, and heartbreak. After the media frenzy and public revelations about Prince Charles's affair with Camilla Parker Bowles, the royal couple finally called it quits in 1996. But the aftermath was far from a simple split. The impact of their divorce rippled through the royal family, the public, and even the press. For Princess Diana, the divorce marked a new chapter in her life. Despite the heartache, she handled the situation with a resilience that made her an even more beloved figure. However, the scars of her marriage were deep. Diana's struggles with self-esteem, mental health, and public image continued long after the legal documents were signed. Her need for love and affection, which had been ignored during her marriage, left her searching for solace in other relationships. Prince Charles, on the other hand, seemed to breathe a sigh of relief after the divorce. He was now free to pursue his relationship with Camilla openly, something that had been hidden for years. Despite the relief, his actions didn't come without consequence. The royal family was under scrutiny more than ever, as the public's trust in the monarchy began to wane. What followed was a bittersweet phase for both Charles and Diana. The divorce, while offering a sense of freedom, didn't mend the emotional wounds that had been inflicted over years of betrayal and emotional distance. The royal family's attempts to appear unified couldn't mask the rift that had grown. Despite the personal and public battles, both Charles and Diana carried the emotional weight of their broken marriage. In the end, Charles and Diana's divorce was a turning point for the monarchy, exposing hidden betrayals and pushing the royal family into a new era of scrutiny and transparency. Their story may have ended legally, but the emotional consequences of their troubled union lingered long after. Charles's tribute. After years of public scrutiny, betrayal, and a bitter divorce, King Charles's tribute to Princess Diana at her funeral took everyone by surprise. His unexpected gesture spoke volumes about their complicated relationship and left the world questioning what truly lay beneath the surface of their tumultuous marriage. The relationship between Charles and Diana was far from perfect, filled with emotional distance, infidelity, and heartbreak. Yet, despite all the drama and the affairs, including his well-known love for Camilla Parker Bowles, Charles's tribute to Diana at her funeral gave a glimpse of a deeper connection. While much of their marriage had been marked by tension and separations, his final act of respect suggested that he still held a certain regard for the woman who had been by his side for so many years. At Diana's funeral, Charles made a quiet but powerful statement by choosing to wear a navy suit instead of the traditional black mourning attire. To many, this might have seemed like a simple wardrobe choice. However, it had much more significance. Diana had always loved seeing Charles in navy, and this tribute, though subtle, was a poignant nod to their shared history. Was this Charles's way of showing that, despite all the pain and betrayal, he had a deep respect for Diana's legacy? Some royal watchers believed it was his way of acknowledging the tumultuous years of their marriage, filled with love, loss, and ultimately, profound sadness. Others speculated that it was an attempt to make amends for the betrayals that had stained their relationship over the years, offering a final, personal tribute to the woman who had once been the love of his life. Charles's tribute to Diana raised many questions, leaving the public wondering if there were feelings and regrets that he had never fully expressed during their marriage. While his actions couldn't undo the past, they did offer a glimpse of the complex emotions he may have carried for the rest of his life. Diana's legacy. Princess Diana's legacy continues to shape the world. Even long after her tragic death, her story was one of immense love, devastating betrayal, and unimaginable strength. But behind her iconic public image, there lay a deeply personal story that was often overshadowed by the royal family's secrecy and the scandals surrounding her marriage to Prince Charles. The world watched in disbelief as Diana's marriage to Charles crumbled under the weight of emotional distance, public scrutiny, and Charles's enduring relationship with Camilla Parker Bowles. While Charles's betrayal was widely known, Diana's resilience and unwavering spirit were what truly defined her. But what often gets overlooked in the shadows of these betrayals is how Diana's impact still ripples through the royal family and beyond. Even after the divorce, Diana's influence remained powerful, especially on her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry. Diana's advocacy for causes like HIV/AIDS awareness, her work with landmine victims, and her campaign for mental health awareness changed the way the world viewed royalty. She gave voice to the voiceless and used her platform for good, making her the people's princess in every sense of the word. Charles's betrayal of Diana was deeply damaging, not just to their relationship, but also to the monarchy's image. Yet, her legacy outshone the controversies that defined much of her marriage. Her charitable work, her warmth, and her relatability connected her with people worldwide, unlike any royal before her. In the aftermath of her death, Charles's tribute at her funeral and his decision to wear navy instead of traditional mourning black sent a signal to the world that there was more to their relationship than what had been publicly revealed. It was as if Charles was finally recognizing the woman Diana had been, and the profound effect she had on his life. Diana's legacy lives on not just in the charity work she championed, but in the lives of her children and in the hearts of millions who still remember her with love.